I want you to change the world, and don't think that this is going to happen peacefully or you can do it alone. We need to kill the rich, okay? We need to get out there, use your weapons, and rip Washington apart.
Good morning, everyone. It's May 14th, 2020. I'm Eric. Today we're going to talk about how the mainstream media, among others, are out there blaming a virus for the economic collapse that is currently underway. We're going to see that it is the obedience of the masses that's at fault and not a virus. We will see it's the decision makers' fault and not the virus. So, let's get started. Alright, we are here at shtfplan.com. Max Slavel authored this piece. It wasn't the virus that crashed the economy. It was the people who obeyed. Most atrocities in human history have all been committed by individuals and agents of government who were just following orders or just obeying laws. The virus didn't give any orders. It was the people who obeyed the commands of tyrants that crashed the economy and ruined the livelihood of others. Most human beings still think like slaves. Instead of asking questions or using critical thinking skills to ask if something is right before doing it, they simply obey perceived authority. The truth is, this lockdown is the fault of everyone who complied and everyone who used force to exact revenge on those who disobeyed. It is the same in all tyrannical takeovers in history. The mainstream media keeps blaming the economic devastation on the coronavirus, but it wasn't the fault of a virus. It was the fault of the government and the slave mentality of the police and the public willing to obey their commands. Mainstream media outlets are trying desperately to spin the narrative and fault the invisible enemy for the very real toll on human life the government's overreaction has already caused. And look at California. They extended their lockdown through July. Wonder how that's going to work out for California. I wonder how many riots is going to take place over this. The mainstream media narrative is nothing more than propaganda, and once you see it, or once you pick it up, you'll be able to see it. The media doesn't want you to put the blame where it belongs and figure things out for yourself, so they hide behind deception headlines that will keep you in fear of COVID-19 as long as possible. This is all part of the larger plan to keep the public panicked about a virus and looking the other way when the tyrannical boots of the state come down on them. We know this is what the media does, and we know that they are doing it to keep the ruling class in power and the public panicked and in a constant state of fear, so they will comply with any and all enslavement measures. Larkin Rose the author of The Most Dangerous Superstition lays out just how horrifyingly devastating it is for humans to remain unevolved to the point that they will not say no to an immoral command. The primary threat to freedom and justice isn't greed or hatred or any other emotion or human flaws usually blamed for such things. Instead, it is the ubiquitous superstition that infects the minds of people of all races, religions, and nationalities, which deceives decent, well-intentioned people into supporting and advocating violence and oppression. Even without making human beings one bit more wise or virtuous, removing that one superstition would remove the vast majority of injustice and suffering from the world. Instead of just blindly obeying the commands, think about it and ask if what you are doing is right. Do you have the moral right to take the rights of others? And if we apply even the most minimal amount of critical thinking to something, can usually get people to do what is right. But you have to be willing to take a look at yourself and correct your mistake yourself, or mistakes, and take responsibility for your own actions, which is exactly why most Americans won't. Taking actions such as being prepared for financial collapse or any other manner of disaster, having the proper weapons needed to fight these tyrant cocksuckers. Blaming a virus and blindly obeying the ruling class and its foot soldiers is much, much easier than critical thinking. The police state and tyranny is brought to you by those willing to follow commands, regardless of the morality of that command. Tyrants can't have power without people willing to enforce the tyranny. If there are no order followers, there are no orders. Which brings me back to my earlier video, the pen versus the sword. Without the pen, or without the sword, the enforcers, there is no ruling class. So, the cure to tyranny is disobedience. And I'm not telling you to go out and commit, bad acts. For the longest time, I thought being bad was virtuous because I was disobeying. But as I grew up, I realized that it's not the disobedience, it's what you disobey that makes it right. Being a criminal that victimizes other people is not the disobedience that we need. What we need is people to stand up and tell these control freak assholes to go fuck themselves. What we need is people who do not fear death. Once you shed the fear of death, you'll never be more free. Once we tell these people to stick it up their ass, they have no power. And that is the right thing to do. Till next time, kill the state, but free.